All right, guys, it's time for our last week of science. So today we're going to talk about all the things that we've built together with science. So we started, do you guys remember when we built paper airplanes? And then remember we started our bridges. Now that was our last week of class, so we actually didn't get to finish those. And then we did towers, catapults, and last week we did our egg protectors. So this week, you guys are going to pick one of these builds to make again. And what I would recommend doing is maybe trying to make them a little bit different, trying to improve them, make them better than you did the first time. That's a lot of times when people are building things, they're constantly improving their ideas, constantly taking their idea and finding ways to make it better, stronger, faster, an airplane, maybe making it more aerodynamic, all things like that. That's how you get something great. You keep where you started and you keep getting it better and better and better and improving it. So you guys can pick whichever one you want, but I'm going to talk about different ways that you can test them too. So like, for example, if you want to do the paper airplanes again, if you still have your old paper airplane, that's great. You can see what you built the first time and think of how you want to change it. If you don't have it, that's totally fine too. You can just build a whole new one. But I would love it if you guys could test them too. So if you have your old one, maybe do your old one and your new one and see which one you could test to see which one flies farther. You could see which one maybe floats longer, or maybe you want to make the fastest one. So maybe you want to see which one's the fastest. But that's different ways that you could test them. So you could either test your first paper airplane against your new one, or you could make two totally different ones and test them against each other. Or if you have a brother or sister who's also in a class, they could make one paper airplane and you could make a different one. And then you guys could test them and compare and see which one goes further or floats longer or goes the fastest. Bridges. Since we didn't get to finish this one, you guys could absolutely try this one again. And you don't have to use the same materials. Maybe you want to make a bridge out of something different. Maybe you want to do Legos or something like that and try and make it go all the way across. The ways you would test your bridges is how much weight can it hold. So you would test your bridge by weight. So if you have a bridge going across something, you would maybe put a little paper cup on top, and then maybe add 1 penny, and then 2 pennies, and keep adding pennies and see how many pennies can your bridge hold. And that's another thing. We can't compare it with our old one because we didn't get to finish it. But if you have a sibling who's like, I really want to make a bridge and finish it, then that's how you guys could test to see which bridge holds more. Or you could just make just one of your own and see how many pennies it holds. If you don't want to use Legos, you could do like plastic straws and tie them all together maybe, and have them go across two things. You could just do books, put a pile of books on one side, a pile of books on the other side, and build any sort of bridge going from one side to the other and see how much weight it can hold. All right, towers. Now, towers was the first thing we built at home. So I know some of you guys used Legos, some of you used the little straw things. So you could try rebuilding a tower, maybe using different materials, or use the same materials, but maybe you saw something in someone else's build that you really like that you want to try. And a way to test how strong a tower is, when you build it, put it on top of a flat surface that you can move. So if you have a large book or something like that you're building it on top of, set it on your surface, and the way to test it is to kind of shift that bottom, shift that foundation, and see how wobbly your tower gets and how easy it is to fall over. Because when you build a tower, you want it to be really strong and not fall over as the earth shifts and as the wind blows and all kinds of stuff like that. That's another way to test it. You could blow on it really hard and see if it falls over. If it does, then it probably won't withstand the wind, right? So towers, I would say shift foundation. All right, and catapults. That was a really fun one. I think that one would be a cool one to try and make improvements on and build a different kind of catapult. Something that I would have improved mine with is I loved how some of you guys used the bottle caps to put the whatever you were shooting in to have it shoot, because mine was really hard just trying to get that little piece to stay on top of the popsicle stick. So that was a really good idea, having the bottle cap on there. So maybe that would be one way I would improve mine. Or if you wanted to make your stack higher, if you had built a small stack, or maybe you want to try one of those harder looking catapults that looked a lot harder to build. But again, catapults would be which one shoots farther. That would be how I would test that one. So if you still have your old catapult, you could shoot it and measure how far it goes, and then take your new and improved one and shoot it and see if it goes further or not as far. And then our last build we did was the egg protectors. So I actually, when I made mine with Maxine, we built it really similar to my first one that you guys got to see me test, and my egg did not survive, right? My egg cracked. And I don't know if you remember, but in that science video, I was like, oh, maybe I should have put a parachute or something like that on top so it wouldn't turn sideways. So when we built Maxine's, we added the parachute and we put the little pieces of cardboard on the side to keep the egg from rolling over to the side. And then the egg didn't break. So we actually did an improvement on our egg protector because I had already tested it for the video when I made it for you guys. But for egg protector, a good way to test that one would be to see how high you could drop it from and it not break. Definitely don't go climbing up too high without your parents' permission. But if you choose egg protectors, that's how I would test. See which one you can drop from a higher spot and have the egg not crack. So height would be how you would test that one. And then remember all those words that we that we kind of vocab that we used for science. Think about all those things as you're trying to make improvements. So for airplanes, you're thinking of which how to make your planes more aerodynamic so that it cuts through that air, right? But you're also giving it lift by giving it that large surface area so it has lift. And then bridges, remember to think about tension like that and compression. And then towers, you want a really strong foundation. You want most of your weight down at the bottom. You wouldn't want all your weight up at the top, right? Because that would make it fall over. So remember to think about where you want your center of gravity. You want your center of gravity low to the ground. And you want a really strong foundation. With catapults, remember those rubber bands. You need that tension, that pull, so that your Newton's law, for every action, I'm pushing it down, there's an equal and opposite reaction of it flying up in the air. And then our egg protectors, remember that you want something to protect it in there and absorb some of that energy as it hits the ground. So you want something that's going to help take away some of that energy, right? And absorb it into itself. And that's about it for science. I want you guys to just, have fun with it. Pick whichever one you want to do the most. If you are like, man, we made paper airplanes forever ago, I think I want to try paper airplanes again, then do that one. Or if there was any one of these that you really loved building and would like to try again and make it better, pick it. You can pick any one you want. I'd love it if you had your mom take a picture of whichever one you did and sent it to me, because I would love to see y'all's builds. So that's it for science, and I hope you guys have fun. Bye.